Goodness to you, it's Sporty King, and I say goodness because I don't know whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening that you're watching. But isn't it great to have good come before your words? Welcome to Gift Friday. Gift Friday is something I created because so often we hear TGIF, thank God it's Friday. But I say, what allure does Friday have to that person who took their last breath on Thursday? Yet, therefore, so what I do is I use what I learned through Psalm 92 and 2. It is good to proclaim your unfailing love in the morning, your faithfulness in the evening. In other words, instead of TGIF, how about TGIT? Thank God it's today. And then TGIT, thank God it's tonight. And then I add the lesson that I learned from Matthew 6 and 34. So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Thank God it's tonight. Today's trouble is enough for today. Thank God it's today. So when we look at that, we see that we should be thanking God all day. And I offer first another option for TGIF, and that is trusting God is free. Think about it. What does it cost to be blessed with the greatest gift of every single day? Waking up doesn't cost you a dime. And that still moves us into realizing that when we move the T in TGIF from the beginning to the end, we find what we really must be giving God thanks for, and that is today. Thus, Gift Friday, GIFT, God is for today. And with this broadcast, I'm going to share one of my original poetic messages so that you can use it to help start a conversation that could change someone's life, including yours. And you can change it for the better. Each poem will then be my gift to you. Here you hear me read the original poem and give you some idea of how you might use it. If you like a free keepsake colorful copy of the poem and you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, just ask just ask by sending me a request to sportyking.com. sporty@sportyking.com, and I'll repeat that at the end. If you're watching on YouTube or sportyking.com, please just put your request in the comment thread. So, you already saw the spoiler alert, but today's poem comes from my book, I Found Out I'm Living, an affirmation of life. A book about the fact that spiritually is where we have to find ourselves so that we can really be alive. And I believe that we hear more and more people talk about love. Yet I believe many are using the word love so freely that it has little meaning. Almost like when you meet somebody and you say, hey, what's up? And their answer is, hey, what's up? And I'm not going to define love for you in this poem. Instead, I'm going to touch on what it's not. So this poem is called, What Happens When We Leave God Out of Love? What happens when we leave God out of love? What happens when we leave God out of love? What happens to those around us? What can we really do? What will we really have to share? What happens to me and you? What happens when we leave God out of love? How can we share or be happy? How does that make us feel? How can our relationship remain true? How will we know love is real? What happens when we leave God out of love? Where do we find ourselves? Where is our light? Where is that feeling of satisfaction? Where is that knowledge that says it's right? What happens when we leave God out of love? Why does our heart become covered with hate? Why don't we care? Why are we so cold? Why do we let love's freshness become stale and then let it become old? What happens when we leave God out of love? Who are we really cheating? Who has the most at stake? Who whose heart really breaks? When we leave God out of love, there are no answers, only questions. Questions that lead to doubt. So who, what, how, where, why, and who. So before you call it love, make sure that you know what he's all about. What happens when we leave God out of love? You see, so often we want to justify trials and tribulations in our lives as acts of the devil. Oh, the devil is busy. The devil is in my life. But see, for me, the twists and turns and drops in my life have all been compliments of God's love for me and mine for God. There is no other power at work in my life. And that may be a hard one to grasp because we believe, unless we believe what I learned through John 19 and 11. Then Jesus said, "You would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above." He said that in answer to Pilate saying, "Don't you realize that I have the power to release you or to crucify you?" You would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above. The Bible I read is called Touch Point, and it contains modern-day examples to make Scripture clearer. Occasionally, it will have what is called a passage that's called a touch point and give that example of making it more clear, okay? So the touch point for John 19, 1 through 11 is power. And I'm going to read that to you. Power. From a human perspective, Pilate indeed possessed great power. With a wave of his hand, he could send men to freedom or execution. But Jesus speaks of a power that Pilate knows nothing about. It is the power of God to use even human sin to fulfill his divine will. Pilate's considerable earthly power is puny and pitiful when viewed in light of the power of the cross and the empty tomb. As believers, we must never trust in human power to save us, nor despair when we are victimized by this same earthly power. Rather, we must remember that the power of God that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in our hearts and minds through faith. And that's why I say there's no power at work in my life other than that of God. You see, the deeper I look within, the more joy I find in sharing my gift with you. May this poem remind you to stay the path of faith that has delivered you today. T.G.I.F. Know that each of us is in place right now to actually save a life. And know that there is no life more important to save than your own. Because your life is an intricate message that simply must be shared. Meanwhile, there's a bonus poem that asks a different question and needs no explanation. It's called, "What would you do if you were God?" The poem, it's simple. You'd laugh. Thanks for laughing, joining, and sharing Gift Friday, G-I-F-T. You see, God is for today. That is the gift. If you like a copy of the poems, the longer one and the quick short one, if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, as I said, just send your request to sporty@sportyking.com. If you're on YouTube or looking at it on my website, sportyking.com, just post your request in the comments. I'm Sporty King. This has been Gift Friday. You have a safe and wonderful weekend. It's a gift that you should enjoy starting today and then starting tomorrow. Ciao.